International driver in the British Championship and BMW Mini campaigner as well. Richard Moore starts from row 3. Darren Bleasdale, reigning champion, welcome return to BTRDA competition with Darren. He starts in the middle of the 3rd row. Phil Chicken on the outside in his 1600 specification, Citroen C2. On the very back row, we find Gary Cook, former BTRDA overall champion in the Weir and Tools configured Charles livery used in the British Touring Car Championship for recent years, now finding a new home in Rallycross. Dan Wallace passed me at full clip, quite confused around the contact in just half a lap of Midden, and the Citroen Saxo is going to look rather second hand at the end of that first heat for the production runners. And sad sight that actually started on pole position in the production heat 3, but a decent grid of the super modified, and they will be away soon. We've got all of the classes still to go through their Q3 races. We're yet to see the BMW Minis, cross cars, the juniors and the classics. Should be having a B final or 2 before the A final to follow later this afternoon. The curfew tonight is at 6 PM, so plenty of time to get the racing in, and lots of classes still due to run right throughout the finals later this afternoon. Super modifieds will be let loose soon once Pollard's car is removed from Airy Hill. Rallycross returns here at the beginning of November. Penultimate Rallycross event for years at this hill. The British Rallycross finale taking place here on the 4th and 5th of November. Plus, Rallycross fireworks display Saturday night. Daylight Rallycross will round out the season on the Sunday. Do make sure you've got that date in your diary if it's not already in there. British Rallycross 5 days through Bernard is now official date in November. Back to the circuit. On the August bank holiday, no Rallycross, but there is circuit racing, modified boards, Formula 3, and a host of other categories expected here at the Custom Cup at the end of August. So do have a look at the circuit website for all the details. We'll do a lot of motorsport to get through this season and this afternoon with super modified Heat 3 on the line. Please out the reigning champion on the watch, but the great race starting in a minute.
wedge of exactly.
So the lights have gone green and away we go for the super modified Heat 3. And Fred Ling desperately trying in this blue Fiesta on the outside of Chessons, and trying to take second and losing spot to James Avison, and demonstrating just how slippery things are. Yellow flags deployed, yes they are. James Avison then takes up the lead, heading to North Bend, but Fred Ling has got him on braking, with Todd Crooks in third and Gary Cook in fourth, as he comes screaming down to paddock for the end of the first lap, bouncing across the loose. As those of you who are not familiar with Rallycross will know that will not necessarily know that Rallycross is over the two surfaces: tarmac, which is usually the majority of the circuit, and loose. In this case, very loose, as James demonstrates there. James Avison going over the jump, having almost slid off the circuit. We had a couple of incidents earlier on this morning in earlier heats where cars came off the track, and one rolling several times on its roof back onto its wheels again. So, heading towards the end of the second lap, Fred Ling extending his lead over the squabbling Todd Crooks, and James Avison making a dive, but no, Todd's got the lead of those two. It's a lovely mixture of cars here. We've got front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, front engined and mid engined cars, which is quite the normal situation for the super modifieds. And the car to point out is the car in fifth, the white skateboard, once described, the Vauxhall VX220 of Darren Bleasdale, who this is his first time joining us in the BTRDA this year, racing number one because he was the overall champion last year. I'm hoping to see him again later in the season, but it's lovely to see him out there this time in the sun here in July at Lyddon Hill. Doesn't get much better for that. There goes Darren on the brakes. He's got Gary Cook. Next victim is James Avison. Two very different cars. Delighted to be here at all, because last he did end up on his roof and was very annoyed with himself. It's taken a lot of work to get the car back on track. Here they go round Devil's Elbow. There's Fred Ling, the Kent man. Now, is he man of Kent or Kentish man? I can never remember which way round they are. But taking North Bend in his own prepared Fiesta, which he and his dad Dave Ling were involved in Rallycross himself through the 70s and 80s, and handing on the Rallycross baton to his son Fred, who takes the win, followed by Todd Crooks, and I didn't get to see who got in third, whether it was James Avison being able to hold off Darren Bleasdale. But the car's now returning past the block walls that were put there on the outside of Chessons last weekend for when we had the World Rallycross Championship here, and there's a safety barrier between the outside of the loose around Chessons and the traditional circuit, the actual tarmac around the outside of Chessons, which was being used last weekend for the World Rallycross Championship meeting as the Joker, but that's not being used here this afternoon. You see the yellow flags being waved to remind drivers to return back to the paddock slowly and safely. They've had their moments of fun, and in the meantime, in the far distance, we can see the BMW Minis lining up at the grid just in front of the Arthur Debenham Tower, named after the one and only voice of Rallycross, Mr. Arthur Debenham, who many of us attending Rallycross meetings in the 70s, 80s and into the 90s would hear Arthur's wealth of knowledge about the cars, drivers and circuits used in Rallycross, and he was always worth listening to. I'm pleased to say he's still doing well in Bury St Edmunds. So, lining up on the front row of the grid here, in pole position we've got Wesley Wickens, number 51. Alongside him is Abby McGuinness, one to watch. And then Ben Sayer on the outside of the front row in number 77. On the second row we have one of the Bell Rallycross team minis. I can't actually see at this stage quite which one it is, and alongside is another of that team's cars. The orange car in the third row, that's Leanne Sedgwick. It's lovely to see her return back to racing, and away we go. Fairly even amongst the front row runners. Wesley Wickens has now dropped into fourth, a little bit of contact partway around Chessons, and I shall continue referring to turn one as Chessons and not the name Talladega, which the Americans brought with them, but they've gone home, so it's back to Chessons again, and into the Devil's Elbow with Abby McGuinness leading, going a little bit wide but maintaining enough speed under a lot of pressure there from Ben Sayer. And of course these minis, they're the R53 Mini. They're all supercharged, running the same engines, standard gearboxes, and very limited suspension and other changes, which means that the racing is very, very equal. Abby McGuinness putting up a little bit of a dust cloud for her, for those chasing her. So that's Dave Ellis in third. Dave's been racing in BMW Minis for a few seasons now. There's Wesley Wickens, who is our pole sitter, who's now in fifth. No, he's not, I can't count, he's in fourth. Under braking, and sometimes you can hear chargers giving the same sort of whiny sound that the original Minis with their A-series engines and gearbox in sump would make, which is rather lovely for traditionalists like me. Abby going a little bit wide perhaps, keeping her advantage over the jump, and hard on the brakes for Devil's Elbow for the third time in this race. Now this hill, there's a better view of the hill here, shows just how steep it is. If you ever try to walk up it, it's quite an effort. At some angles from the camera it doesn't look too bad, but it then helps with acceleration coming back down again, touching about 100 miles an hour as they then hit the brakes for Paddock to then continue back on the loose through the chicane, which has caught many out over the years, as they then start their last lap. Then Sayer making an effort round the outside as he did earlier, and maybe just giving a little bit of exchanging a little bit of paintwork there, because Rallycross is meant to be a non-contact sport, but sometimes contact does happen. It's inevitable. These cars are racing over a mixture of the tarmac and the loose, and occasionally drivers do bump into each other. Not usually maliciously. There have been a few cases over the years when that has been done maliciously, but this is all racing incident. Nothing for the stewards to be bothered about. Wesley Wickens desperately trying to get past Dave Ellis, but Dave just doing enough to maintain third. Van Abby Wickens in first, and Ben Sayer in second. And further down we have Leanne, and followed by Oren Higginson, for whom this is his first ever Rallycross meeting. He's done some circuit racing, and for this particular meeting has hired one of the Bell Rallycross team machines, and getting used to racing on tarmac, which he's used to, and then cutting corners off by going on the loose, which is a different ball game entirely. So there's the rather dusty, dirty car of Abby McGuinness, prepared by her father Brian. Does a fantastic job back in the east of England. Oh, there's Jason, one of the regular marshals, picking up some debris, or if you're American, debris, as the historics start lining up on the grid. And in pole position for this particular race we have Dan Swalen in his marvellous Mark 1 Escort, and just forming up on the row behind him to we've got Daryl Ambrose in his Peugeot 106, and alongside him on the outside is Mr. Ray Morgan, who is no stranger to rallycross here at Liddon Hill. He's been running effectively the same car for the thick end of 30 years. Originally it was a Mark II Escort, which is then rebodied, and if memory serves me right, it was Mark Lloyd's Escort body that car now has. Now Ray's Escort here, although the production car was front engined and front wheel drive, this is front engined rear wheel drive, running a 2 litre, sometimes it's 2.1. Meanwhile, both Daryl Ambrose in the Peugeot and Dan Swalen in the Mark 1 Escort, they're both in the lower category, the up to 1600 category. So Ray does have a bit of an advantage of extra engine capacity and horsepower. He also he's driven in rallycross races here more than the vast majority of people in the sport. So definitely has the home advantage. And so Daryl was taking an interesting line over the chicane there as they go around Chessons for the second time. Taking the left-hander before flying over the hill, which the first time you race it, you are looking at the sky. There's nothing else to refer to really, and it's an act of faith that there's no one parked on the summit or the other side. But all good here. We only have a small grid, but it's all fairly close nonetheless. There's Dan Swalen. This is his second full season of rallycross, the 24-year-old from the Isle of Sheppey, taking to the sport with a huge smile on the face every time I've seen him in the paddock after he's been out. You can predict a big smile on his face, which is wonderful to see. That's what it's all about. It's not just about us enjoying watching, it's about the drivers enjoying racing as well. So going from a 24-year-old Dan Swalen to a 70-plus Ray Morgan, granddad of rallycross. I wouldn't mind, I'll be prepared to say that to his face, and probably will later on, as he comes screaming back down from North Bend, down the hill to paddock, and sweep round and onto the loose. Years ago the whole of paddock was loose, and it was that much more of a trial and an obstacle, and you then add to that the large lump that was Mab's Bank on the outside of that bend, made it quite dangerous. But everyone knew it was there, and if you went wide and hit it, you had no one to blame but yourself. These days things are a little bit safer. The tyre walls are further away from the road than they were in the 70s and 80s. So here comes Ray, hard on the brakes. Dan getting a little bit of sideways action here, and Daryl in the only front-wheel drive car in this particular race, bringing up the rear. I was talking with Daryl earlier on. He's down by power a fair bit when I think Dan is Dan Swayland's Escort there is pushing out the thick end of 200 brake horsepower, and Daryl there has to make do with about 160. Still not bad if you compare with the road going alternatives, but with Rallycross, a lot of the advantage of Rallycross is in having extra horsepower to try and get you to the first corner first. You can have too much power and therefore end up with a lot of wheel spin, but not so much of a problem today, given the ideal weather conditions that we have of sunshine and the usual Lyddon wind. So the winner of that race, Ray Morgan, returns gently and under yellow waved flags back to the paddock to check his water levels, make sure that everything is running at the right temperatures, and get ready for his next outing, which will be in the finals later on. And then the second part of the field for the BTRDA historic class, we have an interesting mix of vehicles. In pole position, Nigel Davey from Cornwall, who's come along with this wonderful TR7 V8 with a small, large, impressive V8 engine of 5 litres. Alongside is a very different car, that of Lee Wood, who's won each of his heats so far today. The Mark II Escort in the colour scheme of John Welch, who ran with great success Mark II Escort in the 70s and 80s. In the second row, nearest us, is Alan Tapscott with his Mark II Escort, and both of these are running Vauxhall red top engines rather than Ford BDAs, which are far too expensive for most people to run. Alongside him is Dave Ewan from Cumbria in his rear wheel drive turbocharged Mitsubishi powered Fiesta. The green Peugeot double act on the back row is Ryan Stutchbury, and on the outside of the grid there's Jamie McBain, who's doing very similar times earlier on in his heats as Lee Wood. This is the first time we've had a chance to see both Lee Wood, who's leading here, and Jamie McBain running in the same heat. It's just unfortunately they were opposite ends of the grid. So Lee Wood goes out of sight in the front of our screen in the lead, followed in second place by the thundering Rover V8 powered TR7 of Nigel Davey, followed closely behind by Dave Ewan. Had a bit of an exciting excursion earlier on today when he managed to spin the car, which is affectionately known as Fez Bomb, on the inside of the Devil's Elbow. Jamie McBain in his front wheel drive Peugeot 205 GTI, the green one on the right of our screen, has made it to 4th position already, and I dare say he's very keen to get past both of the competitors in front of him and try and close the gap on here, Mr. Lee Wood, who is current and several times world hot rod champion. It's a pleasure and an honour to have Lee in our sport. There under power goes Jamie McBain with his lightweight bonnet flapping. If you had a road going one, it was a steel bonnet and didn't do that, but it's all about reducing your weight with performance cars like this. So there goes Lee. Now last time out at Blyton, Lee had a disastrous meeting, which is very unusual for him, when one of the rods went through the engine, and that was it for the day. So he's managed to source another engine and get the car running almost as well as he'd like it. A bit more work to do. So under power, will the front wheel drive Peugeot 205 be able to pull past the TR7 V8 of Nigel Davey? Oh, little bit of contact, and he's done it. There we are. I dare say now Jamie's looking way off into the distance to see Leewood head round Chessons on his own, a clear leader. We don't have access to lap times at the moment, unfortunately, but we'll see how Jamie catches up on this last lap. But it looks like a fairly comfortable win for Lee, but then of course it's never won until he's gone past the checkered flag. Now, coming into this meeting, this is round 5 of the BTRDA Rallycross Championship. Lee was joint leader of the overall championship with Fred Ling, who we saw a few minutes ago in his Fiesta. So which one of these two is going to be leading the overall championship at the end of this particular meeting? Keep tuned and find out. So the cars, having gone past the checkered flag, then go around the outside, staying on the tarmac circuit, which is used. There we go. Which is used many more times during the year than the Rallycross circuit is. And you can see the scar going from right to left, which is where the Joker merged with the main track last week in the World Rallycross Championship. So Lee's back. Returning back to the paddock. And there in the foreground we can see quite a few Swifts. And these are the junior Swifts, and it's wonderful to see a good healthy collection of them. It wasn't that long ago that the juniors would perhaps have 2 or 3 cars entered in for any particular meeting, and sometimes we're nudging double figures. And these are 14 to 17-year-olds, and you might say, yes, but you can't count. There's not double figures worth here, but it looks like they've possibly been halved into 2 heats rather than having all of them racing round at once. That joy will happen later in the final. So whilst the water bowser is going out and dousing down the loose to stop the dust from having too much of an impact on the drivers, we leap into our next heat. So we've got 12 runners in the juniors altogether. We've got Ty Ratton. Looks like he's got his bonnet open. Oh dear, someone didn't put the bonnet pins down properly. But he's doing ever so well, considering he can't see very much of where he's going. I don't think that's meant to be an extra downforce for the front of the car. Of question then is whether or not he's broken the windscreen. And he's being pursued by young James Hawkes. See the way that Ty Ratton's been held up by not being able to see so well. The rest of the field is bunching up behind him, just not able to get past him. So all the better for Ty. Still holding his lead. He's not going to get a particularly good time, I don't suppose. But then neither of the others in this particular field. So Holly Woolly at the back of the grid there. One of our growing numbers of lady drivers. Oh, what a terrific effort around the outside. Will it hold? I think Ty must be using the Force from Star Wars to be able to get round. He's doing ever so well. One after the other. The others are trying to get past him. I just thought there's an opportunity on the inside. Not quite. Now this is what it's like with... Oh, hello. A little bit of contact. And Ty goes... Our leader goes sailing off into the outside of the Devil's Elbow. Now with Holly Woolly, number 59. And the rest of the field go, thank you very much, you've held us up. We're going to carry on full pelt now, thank you very much indeed. So 326, Corey Paget, no stranger to a rallycross course, has taken up the lead, and away he goes, hammer down, try and get a better time as possible. Possibly not helped by with his timings because of everyone being held up by the bebonneted Ty Ratton. 44 in second position. As they come round the Devil's Elbow and up the hill. This time last year, Corey Paget, who's our current leader, was not only running these 1.3 litre Suzuki Swifts, but he was also in one of the cross carts, which we will see later on, and doing double driver duty, and going from the front wheel drive 1.3 hatchback to a rear wheel drive cart. Very different type of equipment. So Corey gets the win there, and our former leader Ty manages to get back. And Caden Harris there, who is the son of Jake Harris, who was last weekend was running the all-electric Mini WRC car, and is the grandson of Steve Harris, who was also running a Ford RS200. So they've got rallycross in the blood. It's good to see young Caden joining in the rallycross fun. Now, if you happen to be between 14 and 17 years old and want to join some form of motorsport, then this formula is a very good way of going about it, with a full program of rallycross events, including this one. This being round 5 of this year's championship. We visited to Blyton in Lincolnshire twice, and had a double header in Pembury in South Wales, where we're going back again a little later in the season, and then up to Knock Hill for the season finale in the autumn. So if you wanted to join and have some rallycross fun, then speak to Peter Gwynn or John Rook, who will be joining me later on in the commentary van, to see how you or your son or daughter can get involved with joining in rallycross. In the past, we've had a few people from other countries in Europe who are able to join in with rallycross here at a younger age than they can do back in their home countries, and bearing in mind that these are the full circuits, and the cars are very similar, these being 1.3 litre Suzuki Swifts. There's also a Citroen C2 and a Nissan Micra in this particular category. But it's a relatively cheap way of getting into the sport and getting a young driver of the future a seat and experience, because there is nothing better than experience, and I thoroughly recommend it. If only that sort of thing was around when I was 14 to 17 years old. And I'm just waiting to see now whether we have a break before the next race, which may well be the first of the finals, or whether there's a bit of a race track maintenance that's going on. So as we now enter the last lap of this particular heat of the juniors, Tyler McAlpin leading Will Ovenden, two main protagonists for this year's championship. Will Ovenden in the red and yellow car behind is currently leading, but not by much. It's all in it to play for. I think psychologically Tyler McAlpin will be happy that he's pipped Will Ovenden on this occasion. So Tyler's best lap in that particular race is 53.76 seconds, as opposed to Will Ovenden's 53.71, so not much in this at all. The lovely thing to see is how well the juniors behave within the paddock. They are very supportive of each other, and it's lovely to see. So there's Phoebe Cake in her first season in Rallycross. She's done some autographs in the past, and still learning the ropes as far as the tarmac and loose is concerned for Rallycross. So Phoebe takes the checkered flag, and then we'll come back. Joining us on the grid shortly will be the FIA Cross Karts. So the distinctive sound that we can hear is that of the motorbike engined carts coming out onto the grid, forming up. Now this time we have a mixture of kart types. We've got the FIA cross karts that we've seen before, and we have a different type of different type of kart as well. You'll soon work out the types because the bodywork is different, and also the sound they make is very different. So that's Max Weatherly practicing his start and cleaning off his rear tyres. Now these karts, there's no real weight to them at all, although they are very strong. They have a very strong safety cell around them. Power, and they don't have much grip. They are rear wheel drive, and they do make themselves quite a handful, which is an excellent way of getting to learn car handling and driving skills. So once everyone's ready, red lights will turn to green, and away we go. Off we go. Now, having had this first corner widened within the last year, as you can see a variety of lines being taken, opportunities to overtake. Our leader's gone wide there, but maintains position. category is a growing category for us in Rallycross. This time last year there were 2, sometimes a third kart on the grid, and for this meeting we have a total of 10 entered. Unfortunately, Callum House is unable to continue with his debut in Rallycross. It feels so much for him. He'd been looking forward to racing so very much, and unfortunately the engine has died terminally, which means that there's a gap on the front row of the grid where he was meant to be. So our leader at the moment is 818 Lewis Gatt. Followed closely behind by Stephen Burke in number 32. Currently in third we have Alex Waterman, and we have a change of leader, I'm sure, if he can hold it. Yes, he can. Stephen Burke's first into North Bend, but he's lost it coming out. Excellent move there by Lewis Gatt to go under him and snatch the lead back again as they head off to the chicane and to the checkered flag.
Where is it tomorrow, you say? Not
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm glad to say that we are no longer watching a screensaver of the Kent countryside. We are now ready for the first of this afternoon's A finals. This being the modified 4x4 category. On pole position got Thomas Ramanauskas, a regular in this particular category. Alongside him, Chris Baker. And then the rest of the field is made up of all four minis. So, expecting the winner to come from two of the super modifieds. It's the classic 1990s rally battle of Subaru Impreza versus Mitsubishi Evo. with Chris Baker's Subaru Impreza taking an early lead, and oh gosh, tyres go a tumbling. And Thomas Romanowskis, our pole sitter, is now in third with a little bit of bodywork damage picked up. So we've got Andy Hawkes in second place, and third place Thomas Romanowskis. Well, we have a red flag, which means we get to see the fun of the start all over again. I suspect that's going to be because of the tyre stack that was moved. So, yep, red flag has been put away by the marshal on Devil's Elbow, and we restart with all of our drivers returning to their original grid positions, no matter what's happened to them on that first lap. So there'll then be a short delay whilst our ever-efficient marshals and track team get the tyres sorted out. So we have our pole sitter Thomas Romanowskis in his Mitsubishi Evo, Chris Baker with his Subaru Impreza, and on the outside of the front row is James Constantine in his, I believe, second meeting in an all-4 Mini. On the second row we have Andy Hawkes, and there we have the tyres, the offending tyres that were hit. Come on lads, give it a push. On the second row of the grid we have David Bell, who's really instrumental in these all-4 Minis happening. As soon as the track's clear, we'll have a thumbs up from the starting marshals to each of the drivers, and we'll be under starters' orders again. Well, I'm pleased to say that the track team are now clear of the track. Revs are rising. concentration on the lights that have gone green, and Chris Baker has again eked out a slight lead over Thomas Ramanauskas. Now, see what happens. Thomas takes a wider line, perhaps trying to keep more speed, although it is a longer route, but no, Chris Baker has firmly kept the door shut. But no collisions with the tyre wall this time, which is good. And into the first climb of Hairy Hill. Chris Baker under braking, swings the car right towards the end of the first of the 6th lap final. So James Constantine is now pulled off into the grass, hopefully out of the way, while Andy Hawkes gets a bit crossed up, and Thomas Ramanauskas for the second time this afternoon takes an alternative route, straightening the corner on the inside of the tyres. Whether he gets a penalty for that or not remains to be seen. So Thomas Ramanauskas, I do beg his pardon, he's leading. It was Chris Baker's turn to go on the inside of the tyre wall that time. So sadly, James Constantine who's had various engine problems today, so obviously caught up with another one, and he's taking further part in this afternoon's final. So Chris Baker making up a lot of space, a lot of land on Thomas Ramanauskas, and seemingly helping him round the Grand Devil's elbow. These two cars arrived here this morning pretty much immaculate, and unfortunately neither of them looks that way now. They've been having a right old battle, which unusually for rallycross means that there's some bodywork damage. So the two of them almost in sync. Chris Baker keeping the inside line, and Thomas Ramanauskas now on the inside. Goodness me, there's nothing in it. Chris Baker maintains the lead. Now only 2 cars. 2 car lengths or so. It really is anyone's race. Anything can happen. It's one of the reasons why we love rallycross. Tipping his inside rear wheel on braking. Chris Baker now resumes full throttle down the hill as David Bell with his All 4 Mini a little bit behind. So like him, he was having some problems with his engine this morning. That's not what we like to see. Imagine the yellow flag's been waved. Our All 4 Minis seem to be grinding to a halt. It's not what we want to see at all. So our leaders go braking with brake smoke into the Devil's Elbow, up the hill, round the hairpin, North Bend. Still anyone's race. David Bell there, not seemingly at full race pace. So something's gone a little bit wrong there for David's car. Chris Baker's had eked out a little lead, but under braking, Thomas Ramanauskas galloped up to his rear spoiler, putting Chris under a lot of pressure again. They're not going to collide, please. Ramanauskas has snupped by with tyres screeching. is anyone's race. But I think the overall winner will be whoever does the bodywork repairs at the end of the race. They're going to be in the money. So Chris Baker takes victory. Thomas Ramaskus is in second. David Bell some way behind as our third and final finisher, with Max Langmaid, Andy Hawkes and James Constantine behind, having finished, not finished. Here I am with the winner of our very first race this afternoon, the super modified 4x4 category. That's number 193, Chris Baker, who looks a little hot, but is he bothered? Chris, how was the race?
Great. It's a tough one again. We've been getting battered all day. Cars obviously took a bit of a pasting today, but that's racing, I suppose.
Well, it's a certain type of racing, you kind of expect that, but not so much in rallycross. But yourself and Thomas have been duking it out all day.
Yeah, I finally managed to get in front. Obviously I messed up in heat 2, but the car's like a rocket off that line, so as long as I can get that front row, I think I'm first into that first bend, so it's just a case of keeping him behind me. He snuck past once, I got back.
Well, that each time it seemed to be a bit of a dice around Chessons as to quite which way to take. Do you take it narrow or do you go wide?
It's hard to pick a line. It depends whether they're wet it first or not. Dry, if you can get down low, you're alright, but if it's been wet, get a bit of speed into it and try and drift it out. That's how Thomas got past me first time, so I think I went for a lap after, I think, maybe. It serves me right, but yeah, it's good fun. That jump's amazing.
Isn't it just? It's fantastic to watch. I can only imagine what it must be like to be in the car.
It's like floating until you hit the floor. But yeah, well, it's a good track. I like it.
It's great to spectate that as well, and I hope our viewers have enjoyed it half as much as I have, so then I've enjoyed it twice as much as they have.
I've had a great day, so I hope the missus isn't too mad. We'll see.
Yeah, so the car started off white. It'll take a little bit of effort to get it all white and the same shape that Subaru intended, but is that something you do yourself?
Yeah, it's all myself. Kids help me occasionally at garage, but yeah, a lot of it's late nights for me while the wife's at home cooking and cleaning. No, not really. So I'll get in trouble.
Yes, you will. I think Chris, we ought to terminate this interview before you really drop yourself in it. So, all that's to say is many congratulations for your win this afternoon, and we'll see you at Pembrey, I trust.
Hopefully, if there's not too many repairs needed. Hopefully.
Well done. We'll see you again. Thanks for talking to us, Chris. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're now ready for our next final, the production category. And what a variety of cars we have. It's wonderful to see. Different makes and models. And there we are in pole position. We have Alex Fletcher with his Honda Civic, and proudly wearing his new wearer sponsorship. Just to point out, on the outside of the row is the flying banana of Charlie Maroney in his Citroen Saxo. Someone looks like they have gone forwards, and it might have been the banana jackery on the left hand side. Yep, it looks like it is. So Charlie may have now a penalty to serve, and starting at the back of the grid. Sometimes when we're running a joker lap, which is the extra bit of track that we sometimes do once every race, someone who's jumped to start may have to do 2 joker laps. Today we're not running the joker lap at all, so therefore, yeah, the only penalty is the reverse of shame. Back to the very back of the grid. So all that hard work that Charlie did during the 3 rounds of heats is wiped out as he starts from the very, very back of the grid. Now, the fact that he got onto the front row of the grid demonstrates he has good pace, but in the final he had to try and make up ground on those he was sharing the front row with. So the marshals make sure that everyone is in their proper places. The electronics in the road for the timing is vital. Means that if anyone just drags a little bit ahead of the starting position, the marshals know and the starters know straight away, and back they go. And there we go. So it's Alex Fletcher leading into the first corner. Already leaked out a little lead there, which then Constantine is back up under braking. Got James Ash in second and Mark Henry in third. Oh, little Sam Noy being turned round. Oh, and that was dangerous. Oh, pulling in front of the oncoming traffic. So that's Charlie Maroney, has managed to pick up a bit of bodywork damage and is currently in 4th. So I said earlier on that James Ash was in 2nd, but that was James Ash back then. It's actually Martin Peters who's in 2nd, under the close scrutiny of Mark Henry in his Alfa Romeo. Going round as 1 round the Devil's Elbow and up the hill. Watching as Alex Fletcher just extends his lead a little under brakes. So we have Alex Fletcher, Martin Peters, Mark Henry, Charlie Maroney, James Ash, our first 5. Alex Fletcher putting in 53.9 seconds lap, which is pretty good. Bearing in mind these are production cars with minimal modifications and changes. several different lines coming around Devil's Elbow, with Alex Fletcher taking a very wide line. There's Mark Henry's Alpha. Now with Charlie Maroney looking to overtake him under braking, but not quite getting there. Charlie Maroney going around the outside, around Chessons. Will that stick? No, is the short answer. So our first four remain unchanged. Alex Fletcher, Martin Peters, Mark Henry and Charlie Maroney. Around the outside, look at that lovely move. Obviously not being distracted by the sound of the front bumper dragging along the floor. Losing the back end a little bit across the loose. Again, Charlie Maroney trying out that wider, faster route, but because it's that little bit longer, he just lost traction and lost space against Martin Peters. We've got 1.5 laps left. Will Charlie Maroney be able to get Martin Peters under braking? They're ever so close. I wouldn't want to call it at this stage. His podium positions could go either way, but it looks as though Charlie's lost a little bit of ground on the loose. Maybe his car isn't quite as firmly planted as Martin Peters ahead of him. He's got it all to do again to make up that ground, and they fly across almost as one. Meanwhile, Alex Fletcher just continues pretty much on his own, hopefully not being distracted by the melee and mayhem in his rearview mirror. So coming into what is effectively the last corner. Interesting line from Charlie Maroney. Can he get the switchback and undercut? No, he can't. Great race, and our winner is Alex Fletcher. Martin Peters second, Charlie Maroney right behind him in third, and Mark Henry in fourth. Well, I hope you enjoyed that race. I certainly did. I feel quite out of breath. So, just waiting to speak with our winner of the production category, 218, Alex Fletcher, who's wearing a lovely big smile.
Yes,
Congratulations, Alex.
Thank you, Steve.
What does that mean to you?
Oh, lots. That's what we need to be. That's the kind of results we need. You know, that was a pretty dominant win. You know, lights to flag. So I think we've been fastest laps all day as well. So just mega for the college, for Weira Tools, to all our sponsors. This is what we need. This is exactly what we need. So brilliant.
It was pretty comprehensive. I was wondering whether you'd be distracted by the battles going on in your rearview mirror.
Yeah, I could see Charlie Maroney coming, so yeah, he was coming hard. So yeah, I just thought I'll put in a few quick laps and get out of the way, and then just cruise to the flag on the final lap. So brilliant.
Well, it's good to know that although Loughborough College is on holiday for the summer, you are not.
No, we've been working hard through the summer. The car was at Goodwood Festival of Speed last weekend, the other weekend, and obviously here today. So there's been a lot of prep. The car's been here, there and everywhere, and lots of work done on both cars, not just this one. So yeah, it's great. So we will get a rest after this, thankfully.
Well, it's good to see that it goes as well as it looks.
Well, hopefully it keeps going as well as it looks. Yeah, so fingers crossed it holds together for the next round in Pembury. So yeah, that's a double header. So really looking forward to that one.
Likewise, I can't wait to see you there, and who knows, maybe we'll have another little chat after the final or two.
Fingers crossed. That's brilliant. Cheers, Steve. Thank you.
Well done, Alex. Congratulations.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Away we go, the super modified final, and Darren Bleasdale proudly wearing number 1 as last year's overall BTRDA champion has taken the lead in his white skateboard, followed closely by Fred Ling in his front-wheel drive Fiesta, and Todd Crooks in number 48. His very modified BMW Mini. And everyone else is in 4th position. Phil Chicken ahead of Gary Cook in the black and green Fiesta, and James Avison in his Honda Civic. So it looks like our leading two have each a slight lead over Todd Crooks, who's then made up that gap under braking. Such is the way. It's so often the case that one car might be better on one part of the track and another car might suit another part of the track better. So you end up with this concertina of gaps opening up and closing. So Fredling's doing all he can to intimidate Darren Bleasdale into a mistake. But we know from the past how well planted these Vauxhall VX220s are. As you've seen both Darren and his brother Jason campaigning these Vauxhall cars closely related to the Lotus Elise and Exige, but here in their Vauxhall iteration. I know Darren was having gear selection problems earlier on with some new gear cables which weren't quite bedding in properly, gave him a few hiccups in the earlier heats, but things seem to be working well. There he is powering out around the north bend and down the slope again, with Fred Ling still in close attention. bouncing over the blocks, the curbing. The front-wheel drive Fiesta there versus the rear-wheel drive Vauxhall, taking different lines, squirming away under power, with Fred understeering a little bit. It's Gary Kirk and James Everson. There's still nothing really in it between our leaders. It's all to play for. Darren's showing the fastest lap so far today, 47.7 seconds for a lap of Liven Hill. Fred Ling, 47.76, so there's only a fraction in it. But we know from the past that the gets away from the lines so well. And it's always very important to be the first into the first corner. Now Darren's gone wide there under braking, and Todd Crooks is sort of stranded on the outside of Cheshunt's Drift. And Fred Ling has got past, takes the lead. A double yellow. That's because of Todd Crooks, so there's no overtaking around Cheshunt's. It's one of the good opportunities to overtake around the circuit, taken away from them, which will play into Fred Ling's hands as the leader. It's one less corner for Darren Bleasdale to try and get past him. There's still not much in it. Fred Ling's half a lap away from winning. And as one of the joint leaders of the BTRDA overall championship coming into this meeting, he'll be very pleased, and I think that demonstrates Darren Bleasdale's car is not behaving as it should as he pulls off onto the main circuit. We'll try and find out later on what the problem is. But a very good win there for Fred Ling. Congratulations to him. I'll go and find him in a few moments as he returns to the paddock and have a little chat. So with Fred Ling winning, Phil Chicken came second, Gary Cook third. hot off the press with a very happy chappie. Fred, many congratulations.
Thank you.
That was some race, wasn't it?
Yeah, Darren he's been on it all day. He's first time back. There may not have been a gentleman's agreement. I knew he's obviously not registered for championship points, so I know he didn't want to spoil everyone's races, which may explain what happened towards the end there, but I've been able to keep him honest all day, which is the first time we've been able to do that in a couple of years. So yeah, over the moon really with the performance-wise today.
Your lap times were within a tenth of a second or so of each other the right way through. So worthy win, I would say.
Yeah, I could see he had a bit more pace on the tarmac. I was, especially going onto the loose, obviously being front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, I had a little bit more traction than him. But yeah, I think you can see the swings and roundabouts of the front rear wheel drive battle just off the line. He's just in a different postcode.
Yeah, that's right. But then there are other parts of the track where you had the advantage and you made the most of that.
Yeah, I know I felt like I was sending it over the jump pretty far. I don't know how he feels about it, but yeah, it was definitely his first time jumping a car, and it's fun. Doesn't feel normal, but it's fun.
Hopefully your back's all right.
Yeah, suspension's good. I'm well rested, ready to go again if need be.
I'm glad to hear it. You have got a few weeks rest until Pembrey with a double header there.
Yeah, I think the jump's hard on our cars, but it's obviously a Clubman Championship, so I think all of us are hopefully going to use this time to give the cars a well-deserved spanner check. I know it's been hard on all of us today, so yeah, but most of us have touched wood made it through.
Yep, and it's good to see very good entries on all of the categories, and of course, as always, one of the most hotly contested is super modifieds, and there you are. You're on the top row of the top step of the podium.
Yeah, couldn't ask for more. Like, the car's been faultless. My dad, for the first time since I've been racing since I was about 14, had to leave part way through today, so that was a different one, having to fend for myself. I felt a bit useless really, but luckily I've had Paul and Lance and the rest of the team there to sort of help keep the cogs spinning, and yeah, they've spanner checked it, kept things going with talk tyre strategy. So yeah, it's been a different day, but yeah, it's a happy result.
And in the sun, so it's all good really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always sunny in Kent, Paul, you know that.
Not according to my memory, but we haven't got time for that. What I would like to say is many congratulations on your win this afternoon, Fred. Well deserved, and keeps you in very good contention for overall victory.
Yeah, we'll have to wait. Pembrey's up next, and I know there's a lot of other quick guys around. I'm not taking anything for granted. I've been lucky so far this year, so yeah, wait and see what the rest of the year has to hold.
Can't wait to watch. Right, thanks Fred, thanks for talking to us. All the very best.
Thank you. I realised I called Paul then because I was thinking about the other guys I work with.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, your eyes do not deceive you. This is not a mini showroom, but it is our grid for our BMW Mini finals. It looked like we might have had a jump starter. And the back row, Orrin Higginson in his first Rallycross meeting ever. Orrin's just about 17 and has spent a lot of time in circuit racing, in Ginettas and Ford Fiestas. This is his first time on the mixed medium of asphalt and loose. So he's just joining the very, very back of the grid, a row further back than he was, which is not as much of a handicap or punishment as we saw in the previous race, when an earlier race when Charlie Maroney was on the front row and then had to go to the very back. So Our runners and riders await and some are so keen they want to get down the line already. So Abby McGuinness in the middle of the front row, just being pushed back into position. Our pole sitter is Ben Sayer and Abby McGuinness, and away they go. Leanne Sedgwick in the yellowy orange car in the second row, adopting 4th position, and from the outside of the front row is that Dave Ellis. Here they go for the jump for the first time. Oh, a little bit of collision there between 2 of the cars. And up the hill for the first time. Looks like Ben Sayers lost a bit of his bodywork from the front. It's not going to slow him down at all. There's Alan Laidler being pursued and overtaken by Gus Glass, who had an interesting morning. You see the duct tape on the front of his car where he unfortunately rolled it sideways coming off the jump in one of the early heats this morning. Thankfully the car was able to be put back together again with more than just duct tape, and was making good pace. So we have Dave Ellis leading Ben Sayer and Abby McGuinness in 3rd, Leanne Sedgwick in 4th, Wesley Wickens in 5th, Alan Laidler 6th, Gus Glass 7th, and our debutante Lauren Higginson rounding up the number in 8th. They're very limited with the modifications they can make, which does make the racing very close, very tight. And there's nothing really in it between our first 2, as Ben Sayer tries to go around the outside and can't quite make it stick. Over the jump, Dave Ellis still leading. A slightly modified Mini of Ben Sayer in 2nd. Abby McGuinness keeping them honest in 3rd. Just a missed gear or something like that could change them around in the blink of an eye. So down the hill, approaching 100 miles an hour before hitting the brakes again and pushing the cars right through Paddock Bend and onto the loose. Hello, we have a red flag. Just trying to work out why the red flag. We have Alan Laidler and Gus Glass doing some kind of interesting synchronised crashing on the different sides of the same corner. Well, Alan Laidler is able to carry on, but Gus Glass is not going to be able to get himself out of the kitty litter, not on his own. So we can expect this race to restart, and we can be also confident, unfortunately for Gus, that he's not going to be taking any further part in the proceedings this afternoon. Now that first start, Abby McGuinness in the red Mini in the middle of the front row didn't get her usual good start. So maybe opportunity for her to do better this time round. Right, so the cars continue round back to the grid, where they'll be gridded up on their original positions, ready for the restart. Now you might recall that the BMW Minis had several restarts last time out at Blyton Park in Lincolnshire, and as a result of that we had we had some minis overheating and having problems with, as it turned out, with their fan belts and alternators, which then failed, meaning that we had it was really a race of attrition, unfortunately, rather than out and out speed and skill, which is what we're used to seeing. So I'm hoping that the same thing doesn't happen this time round. So I'll have a little break whilst the ever efficient track team rescue Gus Glass's Mini and the rest of our runners grid up in their original positions. Sadly, there we can see it wasn't just Gus Glass. It was somehow we didn't catch it at the time. Maybe we'll be able to see it as a repeat, but unfortunately Oren Higginson has ended up even deeper into the kitty litter, having gone straight on at Devil's Elbow. So that's both of the Bell Rallycross team cars out, which is it's not good to see. Drivers are up and out. There's so much safety built into these cars that it's rare to see anyone being hurt, which is very good news. I dare say that with a little bit of attention, both cars will be running and riding again in no time. Although there might be a bit of extra weight that they've got on board because of the gravel. So there will be a slight delay until the track team have come along with their telehandlers or tow rope, even better, and got the two stranded cars away. And because they are the cause of the red flags, it's most unlikely that we'll see them again on the grid for the restart. So stay with us and we'll continue in just a few moments. Right, ladies and gentlemen, the equipment has now cleared the track, so we're ready to race again with the restart in traditional style now of the BMW Mini final. Ben Sayer with his front bumperless Mini in pole position, Abby McGuinness in second, and the far side making that rocket start first time round was Dave Ellis. And somewhat of a surprise, we got Oren Higginson joining up at the back of the grid, although he was in the kitty litter. He's now been given the thumbs up, so he is allowed to race, which is good news. More the merrier. Alright, so the timers are ready. Put new batteries in their machines and away we go. Ready to race. And go. Dave Ellis hasn't had the lightning start this time round, and Abby McGuinness is the first of our minis into Chessons. Gone a little bit wide. Will Ben say it? No, Ben hasn't been able to take advantage of that. Abby leads as they go round Devil's Elbow for the first time. It's terrific to see minis racing in Rallycross. They were there from day one. 4th of February 1967, the very first Rallycross meeting ever, here at Liddon Hill in Kent, where Roy Edwards, amongst others, were racing a classic type. And here we have the more modern variation, a much larger variation. Each of these cars is a 1600cc engine with a supercharger. I did wonder there whether again Ben Sayer might be able to get the cut back on Abby McGuinness, but no, she's far enough ahead for that not to happen. So second time round Devil's Elbow, and our 3 front row holders holding the first 3 places in the final, with Wesley Wickens not far behind in 4th. So Abby McGuinness's best lap so far, 56.398. That was off from a standing start. Now a 50.414. Here with the jump, and a little bit squirrely on landing there from Abby, but she kept her right foot down, kept the throttle open, and that's brought the back of the car in line with the front. Ben Sayer is doing all he can to intimidate and pressurise Abby. Abby belies her youth with the number of years that she's been in motorsport, pretty much entirely. All of her career, racing in minis in one format or another, including age 11 in mini stocks, cutting her teeth in oval racing, and here demonstrating she can go right and left and over jumps. She's not having it all her own way. One mistake and Ben Sayer and possibly Dave Ellis as well will be there. Such is the beauty of this one make series, where all the cars are pretty much identical. So Wesley Wickens is now firmly on the back of this train of 4 cars, going round as one, and he's not happy being there in 4th, is he? He's desperately trying to get past. And see if Dave Ellis seems to have just lost a little bit of ground there, possibly being distracted by defending for his 3rd place, rather than pressurising Ben Sayer in front of him. So all to play for. Ben Sayer just swirling again, a little bit wayward perhaps. on landing and perhaps the back of the car being a little bit light. Abby's racing a very defensive race, absorbing the pressure from behind. Wesley Wickens is trying to go around the outside of Dave Ellis this time, and then straightening up the straight to try and get more speed along the loose and over the chicane. It's not quite worked. Now seem to have 2 twos. Our leaders have paired up for second, third and fourth. Abby McGuinness, Ben Sayer, Dave Ellis, Wesley Wickens. A little bit behind is Leanne Sedgwick, Alan Laidler, Warren Higginson, and of course Gus Glass wasn't able to make the rerun of the final. Wesley Wickens being pushed very wide, but fairly, by Dave Ellis, and he's managed to do it this time. So we have a change of order. Wesley Wickens is now in third. Oh no, what's happened to Abby McGuinness's car? Goodness me. Wow. Wasn't expecting that. So Ben Sayer is our winner from Wesley Wickens and Dave Ellis. And a very disappointed Abby McGuinness gets out of her car. Oh dear. Right, well, let's go and have a little word with Ben Sayer as he returns to the paddock, and we'll try and find out later what's happened to Abby's car. Here with now is Ben Sayer, who was looking hot and flustered after a very busy race, well, race and a half. How are you feeling?
Well, excited that I won, but it was very lucky, I'd say, because Abby's defended really well there, and I've tried everything in the bag I had. I've seen the last little mistake on that last corner, and I thought, surely I'm not going to get past, and I just managed to squeeze through. I think she's ended up with a fault with the car. It's very unfortunate, but glad to win.
Well, yeah, any win's a good win, and Abby was so very defensive right the way through that race, and you could see you sort of gnawing away, not quite at the back bumper, but almost
nearly touching. But you've got to be careful sometimes. But I managed to just try to do everything I could, but I didn't think I was going to get the win there. She was defending really well, drove really good, so it's a bit unfortunate what's happened, but racing's racing.
Well, it is, and we saw her pull over just past the finish line. And obviously body language was very disappointed. However, for you, it's happy days.
Yeah, happy days for me, and hopefully go get a beer now.
That sounds like a good idea. Well, we've still got a bit more to do by way of finals here, but I wouldn't blame you. Congratulations on a good win. And it's all points for the championship.
Points hopefully still. Well, I was leading coming into the weekend, so hopefully boosting my points up a bit more. On to the next one, which is Pembury.
The double header.
Yeah, let's see what we can do. Hopefully same again.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing what happens there in sunny Wales. It's like this.
Hopefully.
And congratulations for today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
with our modified final. We've got Lee Wood in his Mark II Escort with a Vauxhall powertrain, taking a lead from a stalwart of Liven Hill, Mr. Ray Morgan, who knows his way around this track so very well. Alan Tapscott in third, Dave Ewan in fourth, Jamie McBain in fifth, Dan Swayland in an underpowered Mark I Escort in sixth. It's amazing to see this Lancia Stratos replica of John Cross Racing after what was quite an horrific crash here on Sunday afternoon last weekend at the World Rallycross event, when the retro Rallycross cars are demonstrating and John ended up sliding sideways into a tyre wall. He hurt himself and damaged the car badly. An amazing effort to get the car back on track again. So here we have two very different Escorts in first and second position. I can't remember the last time I've seen Lee and Ray in close proximity racing together. It's lovely to see. There's Jamie McBain giving a little love tap to Dave Ewan just to keep him wide. Third out on his own is Alan Tapscott. Jamie McBain in probably the fastest front-wheel drive car that we'll probably see today, in fourth. Safely taking the jump. Lee Wood, who has it's been quite a sensation coming into the sport last year, 2021, and doing incredibly well in both the Five Nations Retro Rallycross class and in the BTRDA Historic class with his Mark II Escort. Since we last raced at Blyton Park, he's had to replace the engine, which decided to put a rod through the block, which is pretty terminal. With an engine sourced from a car that hadn't been used for several years, lounging around on someone's driveway. We bought the car, changed the go faster bits of the engine into this one, and popped it in. The first time we saw that car was during the demonstration races last weekend. And this is his first time in anger using this particular engine. And Ray Morgan behind. He's been racing in Rallycross for almost as long as Lee has been around. This is not one of the most powerful cars in the class, Lee Wood's Escort here, but he does prepare it very well, and he certainly knows how to drive it quickly. Lovely bit of drifting there, just enough. It's opened up a bit of a gap from Ray Morgan. And Jamie McBain's in third. And the field has spread out a little bit. You might remember that at our season opener at Blyton, Jamie sadly rolled that car onto its roof and caused all sorts of damage, which then didn't all reveal itself until later in the season. Hoping that things have improved now and you can enjoy a more reliable and fast season end into the second half of the 2023 season. But here is a man who has hardly put a foot wrong all season, Mr. Lee Wood. Never takes it for granted and absolutely loves his rallycross. Lee Wood has chalked up another win, which by my reckoning means that both he and Fred Ling, who we saw racing in the super modifieds earlier, are still jointly leading the overall BTRDA Championship. So I'm going to go and find Lee and have a little word with him in just a moment. Well, straight off the track, coming into the paddock, managed to stop Lee Wood, stop him from running me over, which is very important, and we'll try and grab a word with him in just a moment. Once he's calmed down and his blood pressure has returned to somewhere like normal. Come on, Lee! This is becoming a bit of a habit. Well done.
Thank you very much. No, it's nice to be back.
But especially so after what happened at Blyton.
Yeah, I mean, we had a bit of a engine catastrophe at Blyton, and it sort of wasn't well. So we've cobbled a few things together, and we've got this one going quite good now. So yeah, good.
Quite good.
It's a labour of love in the garage with lots of cups of tea and making it work. So.
Well, those cups of tea have obviously got the right stuff in them, and the cars seemingly work beautifully all day.
It's been good. They just warmed it just before we went out, so it sort of made it a bit exciting, which is fine. But no, it's touch wood. It's been great today. Touch wood, yes.
And you're still enjoying yourself behind the wheel.
Yeah, lovely. I mean, we had a great time last weekend, and this weekend it's all good. So we thoroughly enjoyed the track. I do like it. It's good fun.
Couldn't agree with you more. I know how much you love your rallycross, almost as much as me, and it's great to see the old John Welch related magic carrying on.
Put cars in sort of a bit of period. A lot of people can relate to them, and remember them. We tried our best to try and emulate them as much as we possibly can, but no, the cars are the stars really, and we're just there to put on a show.
Well, I'm delighted to see you winning again. I don't suppose that everyone in the category will be quite as happy, but it was well earned. You raced fantastically all day. Congratulations,
Thank
Lee.
you very much indeed. See you next time.
joining you slightly belatedly. Apologies, folks, as we enter the third lap of our juniors, with Tyler McAlpin leading Will Ovenden, but not by very much. Tyler, his best lap so far, 53.43, and Will 53.62. So they're all very tight, all very close. So a little bit further down the line, we've got Caden Harris leading a bunch of cars there. There's our first and second. And then got Ty Ratton, and then here we are, our battle for fourth, fifth and sixth. Caden Harris, Corey Paget. Benjamin Down. In the final position in that little group, with Jimmy Jenkins, Holly Woolley, that little bit further behind. So these two, Tyler McAlpin, Will Ovenden, who have been hammer and tongs all season, are at it again. It's a superb sportsmanship between these young drivers, right the way down the line, all very supportive of each other. There's Holly Woolley, number 59. So we've got Caden Harris, Corey Paget in the white. Looks like Phoebe Cake has been lapped just then. Tyler McAlpin seemingly having just drawing out a car length or two. Will closing that up again under braking. We have a red flag. We have a red flag. Red flag's being waved. And we have a car on its roof. Oh, good grief. Looks to me from here like it might be Jimmy Jenkins, who's out of the car already on his own, which is good to see. Good to see. And being helped by a marshal away from the stricken car. Yes, it is Jimmy Jenkins' car. We don't yet know quite how that happened, but the most important thing is Jimmy is all right. Probably a little bit shocked, but he did walk away looking fine. We'll try and find out what happened and come back to you in just a few moments. see Jimmy back end of that group of cars just going wide, and as he's turning, the car trips over on the kitty litter. Unfortunately, it was all his own work. There weren't any other cars involved, which is sad to see. Sad to see a car on its roof, but thankfully Jimmy was able to walk away straight away. He will be checked over by the circuit doctor, made sure that everything is all right, and he'll be back out to fight another day. In fact, our next round, rounds 6 and indeed 7, are at the Pembury circuit in South Wales. So please join us for that, for those races, those 2 full meetings, and then thinking further ahead, we've got the final round, which will be at Knockhill in Scotland. Always good to go back to Knockhill, terrific circuit. Always get a very good response and reaction there. The only downside is, for many of us, it's a long journey up there, but well worth it. So the circuit crew gently and carefully right the stricken Nissan Micra of Jimmy Jenkins. That car, incidentally, had been raced in the junior category by Jimmy's older brother Alfie, who has been doing wonders in circuit racing in the past 2 or 3 seasons, and establishing himself as no mean racer. So this is still early days in Jimmy's own racing career. Just delighted that he's all right. Now it looks like the other cars in the category are returning back to the paddock rather than going straight out to rerun. When we get any updates for you, I'll be back and let you know. our final for the afternoon. It's the FIA Cross Cars. Two different varieties here, just to help spice up our lives. The combination of the FIA Cross Carts that we've become used to over the past season and a half, and with some an extra variety of karts that we've not seen before, courtesy of Thierry Neuville in France, which have a very deeper sound to their engines. The same engines, 600cc screamers, with the exception of the blue car in the middle of the front row, which is Dave Attiwell, who's got an 850cc engine in there. However, what we've seen during the day is that whatever the size of engine, the performance is very similar. So it should be a tight race here, and away they go. David Attiwell from the middle of the front row, I thought was going to get it, but he's been pushed into third. Gaggle of carts wiggling away in different ways. Slightly nerve-wracking because they're all open-wheeled. We don't want to see cars tripping over each other. And riders look like this. Well, we have number 32 Stephen Burke leading from Max Weatherly, number 73, and Lewis Gatt in third. Hello, someone's parked where they shouldn't do. Can't quite see who that is. Oh, I think there might be some handling problems there, not all the wheels facing in the same direction. The race has sadly been red flagged, I think because of that stranded car that's now unstranded itself. So we thankfully have time before the 6 o'clock cut-off to be able to race from the start of the full-length race. So Stephen Burke's probably going to be a little bit upset by that, because he had made himself quite a good lead. So the karts return back to the grid to resume their original grid positions. And I can confirm that the kart that had pulled over was Luke Holly, who we've seen winning this category in the past. Sadly, he's not going to be adding another win today. So someone to watch out for is on his own in the second row is Max Weatherly, number 73. This is his first event in a kart. He's much more used to racing his 1600cc Suzuki Swift in both the BTRDA and in the Five Nations, and seems to have adapted ever so well to life with rear-wheel drive. So here we go again. Scramble for the first corner, sometimes called Talladega, but for many of us it will always be Cheshunt's Drift. Oh dear. Sadly, that's Max Weatherly, the commentator's curse perhaps. It's not going to be able to continue, and in that position I wouldn't be surprised if we see the red flags out again. Right, so Stephen Burke, first pass the line, but we are red flagging again, and that will be because of the stranded car of Max Weatherly. He's taking a very unconventional line there. And what had been flagged up as a red flag has gone green, so the racing continues. Stephen Burke still leading. No, he's not. He's in second, but only just in second. Interesting look at the timings of the race so far. Best laps of 51.59 seconds, which is right up there with the very fastest of the cars that we've seen racing all day. When you consider these are only 600cc, most of them. A little bit of tangling up there. So the cart's launching up over the ramp again, coming down with a thump on the other side. It's our leader, 424. Probably very grateful for the restart, because he wasn't in so much contention before red flagged, and we started again. Brake smoke under that heavy braking going into the north bend. Inside rear wheel being lifted up there, lovely to see. You can see the suspension going up and down over the bumps. See how well the suspension is running because of this very, very soft landing there. Good to see, lovely stuff. So that was our earlier leader. Rouse, our leader, our winner for this afternoon's final. Very well ridden, very well driven, and that sums it up, I'm afraid, for the on-track action this afternoon. So let's go and speak with our winner and see how exhausted he is. Standing with the winner of our cross-kart final, Ethan Rouse.
Yeah.
Ethan, you're a little bit hot and sweaty.
Yeah, obviously it's difficult. It's my first year doing it. I haven't really done anything like this in the past. I don't really know where everyone else went in that race, but I managed to squeeze through and keep it in front of my teammate Will, who's been sort of dominating it so far. So yeah, good one.
So what racing, if any, have you done in the past?
Just a bit of karting with my friends. Sort of set up a championship between us in rental karts and had a bit of fun. And got the chance to start racing one of these and took it. And it's difficult so far, but obviously this is a bit of a boost. So yeah, it's good.
Well, welcome to Rallycross. Yeah. How are you finding it with the two surfaces and the jump?
This track is something else. We've been to Blyton and Pembrey so far. Well, I have, and this is just completely different. It's a crazy track, but it's real good fun. Especially the jump. You sort of feel like you're gliding for a while until you land back on all four.
It seemed to launch off the jump and like a rocket. But the suspension seems to be very compliant.
Yeah, we've been making a few changes all day, trying to sort of adjust for the two surfaces. But we've had a few problems with clutch issues and that sort of stuff. So it's good. We've had a pretty cool day, to be honest. There's been no issues and got through it.
Well, many more of those in the future, then I'd say.
Hopefully it's. We'll see, I guess. We'll see how it goes.
Welcome to Rallycross, and welcome to the winner's step.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we'll see you again at Pembrey.
Yes, you will. Yeah, there for double headers. So look forward to it.
Look forward to seeing you there. Congratulations.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do hope you've enjoyed your afternoon's rallycross action here at Lydden Hill in sunny Kent. Our next round is in Pembrey in South Wales, so keep tuned, keep an eye out, and we shall look forward to your company on that broadcast. And so from us at the BTRDA Clubmans Rallycross Championship here in Lydden, we want to sign off and say thank you for joining us. See you again soon. Bye bye.